What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another week of the Sports Degenerates podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening to us, make sure to also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Spreaker. We're also on Twitter at the Sports Degens and Instagram at Sports Degenerates Podcast. And finally, you guys can also watch us on YouTube. You guys can actually watch almost every episode on YouTube. And make sure if you're watching us there or listening to us anywhere to follow us on all of these platforms if you can. And also, no matter where you're listening to us, make sure to like this episode. That will help us a lot. But as always, you guys know us. I'm Tyler. I'm joined alongside by Matt. We're just a couple of college students that love talking about sports, watching sports, listening to sports, everything to do with sports. You guys know the drill. And here we are. So we decided to make a podcast.
Sports
Matt,
everything.
Exactly. Matt, how you doing today?
Doing great. I just got a new headset.
Yes, you did, finally.
And I think our quality of our podcast is on the rise, you know?
Yes, it is.
How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's a exciting week. I love this week. Super Bowl week. We got Bucks, Chiefs, and I know as a Patriots fan, for me, it's kind of hard not seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I actually saw a tweet earlier today that someone said that, yeah, it's hard not watching the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but the Patriots have so many memories that this whole week is literally just 5 years ago today, this happened. 3 years ago today, this happened. 15 years ago today, the Patriots won the Super Bowl this way. And it's nice being able to, even though we're not in the Super Bowl, look back on all those memories. So it's pretty cool.
It's true, seeing everything. Just an hour or two ago, scrolling through Facebook, I saw the story of the Falcons Super Bowl. Watched the Julian Edelman.
Yep.
Gosh, there's so many. The Malcolm Butler interception was the Seahawks Super Bowl. I think they were showing stuff on that a day or two ago.
Yep.
Oh man, that was there's so many good memories for Patriots fans and from Patriots Super Bowls in general. The only lackluster one was probably the Rams one. Although I know you say you were on the edge of your seat that whole game.
Yep. Hey, there's still highlights to look at that game. There was
one touchdown.
There was that like 20-yard pass between Brady and Gronk. There was the the interception by Gilmore to seal the game. There was all those punts. Oh, I love all those punts. That was fun. Yeah.
Lots of punts. Yeah. Impressive punts.
But let's get into this year, Matt. Your Chiefs are in it for the second straight year. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling really good. Honestly, a bit better than last year. Because last year it was, I think the Chiefs were the 2 seed and the Niners were the 1 seed. You know, they were dominant all year long.
Yeah.
13-3, had the best defense in the league. Whereas this year, the Chiefs are the 1 seed. They've only lost 1 real game, 2 if you count the one that Chad Henne started week 17, where they rested everyone.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers, I know they're led by Brady. That's huge, but like they're the 5 seed. I think they're the underdog. Like, no matter what, maybe Brady is never the underdog, but if the Bucs aren't the underdog, like the Chiefs definitely aren't either. I don't know. Lots of opinions out there, but I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good, better than last year. What do you think?
It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see what will happen because it's going to be two huge powerhouse offenses going up against each other. Obviously, it's a rematch from a few weeks ago that they faced each other and the Chiefs went off. I know we talked about this last week that Tyreek Hill went off for like 200 and what was it? I think like 262 yards or something like that. He went off and
it was 260.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting. I mean, I'm really gonna be looking forward to see if the Bucs can change their game plan a little bit, because obviously their big problem was, I remember watching, that they kept playing man-to-man against the Chiefs, at least in the first half. And that's how Tyreek was able to burn them all game, because if you're playing man-to-man with, I don't want to get too in-depth about football schemes or whatnot, but if you're playing man-to-man with maybe like 2 high safeties or something like that, they have so many weapons that those 2 high safeties, they can't patrol enough of that field deep. So Tyreek is going to burn that corner, and then it's just going to be Tyreek and that safety playing high, and so it'll screw them up.
Hmm.
So I'm really interested to see if Tampa Bay can change their game plan a little bit, because like we said, they just burnt them, and you can't play man to man consistently against this Chiefs team because they have so much speed and they're just so talented.
Yeah, definitely can't do man to man on Tyreek Hill. I don't know if excuse me, any teams other than the Bucks did
Yeah,
this whole season, because it's just a bad idea. Mahomes will
correct.
see it right away. He'll launch it off to Hill, and that's it right there. It's a touchdown most of the time.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, most of Tyreek's yards came in the first like quarter. I want to say half, but quarter. I think the Bucks adjusted well in the second half of that game, but I'm still curious to see how it goes. Maybe Hardman will get more involved if they take some eyes off him and add more, coverage on Hill. It'll be such a unique game. Probably really high scoring too. I think that's what everyone is expecting.
Oh yeah, I think it'll definitely be a pretty high scoring game um, because of just the offenses. You have Tom Brady, especially because right now, I feel like specifically both teams are really firing on all cylinders at the moment.
Big time.
I mean, the Chiefs are almost always firing on all cylinders, but with Tampa Bay, Brady is. I think he has right now the best chemistry with his receivers from the rest of the season. I think right now they're playing their best football. Both, I wouldn't say defensively because they're beginning the start of the season they played best defensively, but they're still playing some good defense recently. Tampa Bay is, and like I said, they're in their offense, I think they probably are playing their best football that they have all season on the offensive side. Brady is finding his receivers. The receivers are getting open. They're not. It seems like they're not having as many miscommunications as they did earlier in the season when they at one point were something like 9-5 or something like that.
Hmm.
Whatever their record was, but it's going to be an awesome game. I am super excited for it, even though I'm more excited. Well, I'm not going to say I'm more excited for this than like a Patriots Super Bowl, but
Hmm.
it's a different type of excitement because I'm watching a team that I really do want to win. I'm watching a player that I really hope can win, Tom Brady, but I also don't have the nerves because at the end of the day, if the Chiefs win, I'm not going to be mad either. I would
Hmm.
just rather Brady win. I'm not as emotionally invested as in it as I would be with watching the Patriots. So I'm really excited to watch this game. It'll be really exciting, like I said, and with how high scoring it could be.
Yeah, how mad could you be at the Chiefs winning when your best friend is a big Chiefs fan, right?
Yeah,
I say
yeah.
go Chiefs, Chiefs Kingdom all the way. We should, you know what? Let's make that our bet of the week. Just simple, put it on the line. I'm going Chiefs all the way, and I think you're probably gonna still put money on the Bucks, I'd imagine.
Oh, I got to put money in the Bucks. So obviously the past 3 weeks now, yeah, 3 weeks on this whole betting thing. When it comes to football, I've bet the Bucks every week, and every
Every
week
week,
I have won. We're at
every
right now. We're at
week.
I've won 2 weeks in a row, and yeah, so I have to go with the Bucks. Here's the thing, I weirdly enough, I kind of think the Chiefs are going to win. But my
Hmm.
problem is the reason why I have to go against that is because I can't bet against Tom Brady at this point. Look what he's
Yeah,
done. Look what he's done in the playoffs so far. Look
right.
what he has done in the playoffs so far. You would not have guessed that he would have made it to the Super Bowl, even at the beginning of the playoffs, even against in the wild card round against Washington.
Hmm.
Like you wouldn't have expected them to be a Super Bowl team because they didn't play great against Washington. They had a good game, but they didn't play amazing against Washington. And just the sheer fact that they were a wild card team when they had
Exactly.
exactly when they had all those weapons, when they had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Ronald
Mhm.
Jones. Like you wouldn't have expected that team to be a wild card team. And so, in my opinion, I was kind of down on them. When I saw that they were a wild card team, I was feeling like, all right, like I don't think they can do it. But here they are. I gotta go. I gotta go. Tom Brady and the Bucks.
Yeah, I completely understand the reason. I mean, look at who Brady and the Bucks have beat already. They beat Drew Brees and the Saints. Really good team, and probably everyone's pick to make the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Brady was able to beat the Packers for the second time this year. So I mean, if he could beat Brees and Rodgers, I don't see why he can't beat Mahomes. I wouldn't put Mahomes above, Rodgers or Brees yet, obviously.
Really
I mean,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, this year, yes. Like this year, he's on par with Rodgers. If we're talking solely this season,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, historically, like obviously, Brees and Rodgers are the better all time. That's all I'm saying there. So I think if Brady can beat two legends, he could beat one in the making too. I could see it. I could see it.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is truly a 50-50 game. Because you can make an argument for both sides very easily.
Yeah.
And
You really
it's
can.
gonna be so entertaining.
It'll be very exciting because me and you are going to be watching it together. So and we're gonna I'm sure we're gonna be messing around with each other a good amount. Anytime
There'll be a joke or two,
yeah,
stab or two.
anytime that the Bucks cheer score, I'm sure I'll probably rub it in your face a little bit, and same thing when the Chiefs score.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of that bet,
Yeah. First stab of the week at you is what I had you wear today. So
I'm
let's
not very
explain.
happy right
Let's
now.
explain.
Yep, I
That whole
lost.
winning 2 weeks in a row thing ended
Yeah, I was really
this
hoping to
week.
make it 3 in a row. I went So our last bet last week, for those of you that don't know, I bet we bet which player in the NBA was going to have a better week. I decided to go with Jaylen Brown. Matt went with Bradley Beal. I got the doors blown off of me. I thought Jaylen Brown would continue doing what he was doing, but I was wrong, and here we are. Now I'm wearing a Chiefs jersey. The week of the Super Bowl, I'm wearing a Chiefs jersey. I can't wear my Patriots jersey. Can't wear my Tom Brady jersey. I'm wearing a Chiefs jersey.
Pretty much summed it up. Thanks, Bradley. I appreciate it.
I don't like this. I was putting this on, and it didn't feel right. As I've said, I don't mind the Chiefs, but I'm a Patriots fan. This goes against every fiber of my being to wear a Kansas City jersey when I'm a Patriots fan. Ugh.
Hey, that's exactly how I felt putting on the Tom Brady shirt the past couple weeks.
Whatever.
It's all part of the bet.
Whatever.
Same stipulation after the Super Bowl too, even though it's gonna hurt super bad for the loser to put on the winner's shirt. I think we got to do it still next week.
Yes, we do. But yeah, no. Speaking of that bet, obviously, like I said, I bet Jaylen Brown. I thought he was going to have a good week.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a bad week this week on the Celtics. So let's talk about the Celtics.
Yeah.
They're worrying me big time. They're really worrying me big time. They've had a couple good games. The problem is with the Celtics. So they lost by 1 point to the Lakers, which wasn't a bad loss. They made it a lot more competitive than I thought they would, especially since the Lakers are coming off of a bad loss to the Pistons, which a team that they shouldn't have lost to. And I'm sure the Lakers were probably looking for some revenge and all that. And the Celtics were the ones that were pretty much in line for that revenge. But the Celtics did a good job limiting them. It was just they couldn't make the final shot in the final seconds. And then the next game against the Kings, they lost to the Kings. I mean, sorry, no, I'm sorry. They ended up after that game they beat Golden State, which is good. Want to see them beat Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lost to the Kings, which watching the game, Scal and Mike Gorman were saying how in the past those two teams have tended to have close games, but I mean, they shouldn't be losing to the Kings. I know the Kings aren't a bad team this year, but I'm getting worried about what's going on with the Celtics. They started great, and then you got glimpses of, all right, there might be something wrong here with that blowout loss to the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I mean, they've won since then. They've looked good since then, but I'm catching more and more of things that might be going wrong with the Celtics right now.
Yeah, I get the concern. I mean, it seems like it's the same story again when I take a look at the loss to the Kings. They were leading with 5 minutes left, and the Celtics were, that is, leading with 5 minutes left, and the game was tied up as late into it as 2 minutes 26 left on the clock. Tie game, you got 2 minutes to show which team is the better, more clutch team. And I don't think Boston is that clutch this year, honestly. The Kings won by 5 points. They outscored Boston by 5 points in the final 2 minutes, and in total by 6 in the fourth quarter. So it's a close game, but I think a blown one for the Celtics. On the same note, I wouldn't worry too much though. It's still early in the year. We'll give them
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Uh, that's a good point. I mean, but here's my problem. Like you said, when it comes to it, seemed like another one of the Celtics games. Almost every game this year. Not obviously there's exceptions. It's the same game every game. Like it's
Hmm.
weird how similar every single Celtics game is. Even going back to the playoffs last year, that there's times the Celtics can get out to a lead, and then they lose the lead, and then it's a close game, and then the lead goes back and forth, and then they either end up winning by a few points or they lose by a few points, and it almost always ends up being close games with the Celtics. And the problem is usually like you can identify, all right, this is what I feel like is wrong with this team. Like I feel like they need to add this player, need to get rid of this player. But right now, I'm just personally at a loss. At a loss. I just don't know what this team can do to get better because obviously you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown on the team, which is great. Kemba Walker, who admittedly Kemba Walker hasn't been as good as he should be coming back from this injury,
I agree.
but
Yeah.
it's still I can't tell what's wrong with this team. I'm one I'm I was listening to Sports Talk Radio. I think it was on Saturday. Yeah, I want to say it was on Saturday, and they were saying that they need a genuine 3-and-D guy, which is
Mhm.
possible. Someone that can really shoot the three and then get back and play some good, like solid, good defense. Um, I mean, maybe a big man or some shooting. That's what Danny Ainge said on his. He had an interview with, I believe it was, the Toucher and Rich, I want to say, on 95 The Sports Hub, and he talked about what they might be looking for in their trade exception that they have, and he was saying a big man that can shoot and play some defense. But I really don't know what this team is lacking right now, and it's kind of frustrating because, like I said, you see in every game being so similar that
Mhm.
they just can't seem to get it done. They don't have the cojones to finish off a game, and it's worrisome because, like I said, I don't know what they need right now. I'm sure like what Danny Ainge wants, like a big man that can possibly shoot the three and play some defense, maybe like Vucevic, I believe his name is. I think he's on the Magic.
Yep.
That would be a good one possibly, but I don't know if that's going to put them over to the top to win. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you nailed it really. They definitely need some help with the 3-point shooting, and I mean it's not ridiculous at this point, but attempt less threes, um, especially when they're not falling. I mean, this past game Tatum went 2 for 10 from deep, so 3-point shooting that could be worked on. But I think the main thing is just the clutch attitude, being able to finish the game strong in those final couple minutes, and it seems like it's when they're at their weakest.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know how you necessarily fix that. Like tell yourself, all right, be more clutch, but you kind of have to be. The other
Yeah.
teams are all beating them in that area, whether it's the Canes, the Lakers, any team in between.
I'd argue that it's less of clutchness and more of I don't know, more of that they can't close out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Because
another way to word it. Yeah,
exactly because clutchness implies that they can close, like they can get like a last second shot and win the game. That's more clutch. Whereas
right,
closing out, like we said, they had the same problem in the playoffs. So they get out to a lead and then it just seems like they don't that they almost coast is what the Celtics do.
hmm,
I think that's the big problem is that they coast. Once they get a lead, they start to get. I think this might be more of a problem of the players that you have on this team that they think that they might be better than they are, or I don't know, but they tend to coast. They think that they're out the lead, that they can kind of try a little less, and that comes to bite them in the ass. And like I said, I think that is probably the case because I mean, what your team, you have a young team. You have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart. Those are like the leaders on the team. The only like really veteran that you have on the team is I'd say Tristan Thompson and Kemba Walker. But the problem is when the real leaders of your team are these young players that have just a lot of God-given talent, that they tend to, once they're up in the lead, they feel like that they can just sit back and relax because they're like, oh, our talent, like we tried for the first 3 quarters, we put our all in the first 3 quarters, we have this lead now, let's sit back and just continue doing what we're doing. We don't have to try all that much. I feel like that's their problem right now. I think that's what's going on with them. And like I said, I don't know how you fix that. I really don't know how you fix that. I want to see Danny Ainge make a trade, but I just don't know how realistic that is, because I've been saying we say every year that we want Danny Ainge to make a trade, and then he doesn't at the deadline. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough right now. I mean, we'll see. They'll all start, I think, working together a little, better as the season goes on. Not to say they don't work together good right now. It's tough. It's tough. But again, it's early in the year, so maybe this will come naturally by playoff time. At least we hope and we pray.
Exactly. It's possible. You got to look at the roster too and see that there are injuries. Kemba obviously is coming back from his injury, so he's not there. So they're still restricting him a little bit. Like yesterday, he didn't play yesterday. They didn't have him play yesterday. I'm assuming because they wanted to rest him and have him be as healthy and good to go for, I believe, tonight or tomorrow night's game against the Clippers, which is a tough matchup. And then obviously the Peyton Pritchard injury and the Marcus Smart injury, both of them being out for multiple weeks, that screws you up. So you haven't really had your full healthy team all season. So I think things could change if everyone on the team right now stays healthy and Pritchard and Smart come back, because I think when that happens, your starting five could be something along the lines of Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm worried because Smart would have to be your starter no matter what. And I don't want Smart to be in the starting lineup as we've gone over before. So that just worries me,
Yeah, having Marcus Smart back, that's going to help. I know we were worried for a bit at first with the injury, not knowing what it was. Like he might be out for the whole season. Oh God, like that would be a terrible loss. But definitely having him back will be nice. And we've talked high about Peyton Pritchard all season long so far. He's exceeded expectations to say the least. So can't wait to see him back. Man, I can't wait to see playoff Celtics. Really, like that's where it's going to count the most. All this right now is like, regular season, whatever. Like, there's ups and downs. I know they'll be in the playoffs regardless. I'm pretty sure, but that's where their performance is going to matter the most. Can they get over the hump and on to the next?
Yeah, definitely. And I think right now, I'm obviously still super interested in the regular season because obviously I want them to get as high a seed as possible going to the playoffs. But like I said, I am very worried about them right now, but it can be fixed. Like I said, I think once Pritchard comes back, when Smart comes back, if they're able to possibly get what Danny Ainge is looking for, a big man that can play good defense and shoot the ball, then I think maybe that would help. But who knows? We'll see. And who knows? Maybe they can make multiple trades at the deadline. It's a while out. We're only in the beginning of February. It's not for almost another month and a half for the trade deadline.
Yeah, crazy. So, it's still so far away.
Exactly. So we don't know. There's still plenty of time. But anyway, speaking of teams that don't really need all that much help right now, the Bruins. I want to finish up the show talking about the Bruins real quick. They're the best team in their conference right now by far. The win 2 nights ago, they had 2 comeback wins 2 nights in a row, 2 games in a row. 2 games ago against the Caps, they were down 3-0 or something. They ended up scoring 4 and winning in overtime. Fantastic. And then you literally saw the same thing last night, 2 nights ago, that David Pastrnak went off for a hat trick, scored in the first few seconds of the game, scored to tie it up in the final seconds of the game. literally, I think with like 12 seconds left or something like that in the game, he scored to give him 3. And then they ended up winning just seconds into overtime. Oh my God, it's fantastic. I mean, like I said, right now they're the top in the division, and that's awesome. It's great to finally have Pasta back. They're what's it called? The perfection line, which I think is a stupid freaking name for their top line, and Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasta. Again, stupid, but either way, that's besides the point. It's great having them back, and it's great that they can get that goal scoring ability that they didn't have before. I think they're certainly benefiting from the fact that it's a weak division that they're in. I think if they face the only real like threat in their division is the Caps, and I think once they face some like real teams at some point, maybe like Tampa Bay. This wouldn't obviously happen until the playoffs, but I think they might be in for a rude awakening, and you can't consistently win this way. They need to get more scoring. You can't consistently rely on comeback wins that you win in overtime, stuff like that. But as I've alluded to before, I think their defense have been playing great. Having those top scorers is great, but we need more scoring from their other lines. I was listening to Felger and Maz yesterday, and it's a great point. You can't consistently win if you're a one line team, meaning you need play from your first line. You need good scoring from your second line, your third line, your fourth line. That's how you win, because once your first line, your quote unquote starters leave the game, you need other players to come in that like you can trust to score. And a big player right now with that is Charlie Coyle. He's not doing anything. He should be. He's the kid from Weymouth that he should be scoring the puck, but he's been absolutely non-existent. You would almost he's barely been playing as well, and that's kind of worrisome. Again, I'm not too worried about the Bruins right now because they're playing great. They really are playing great. It's just that there are definitely still holes in this team. There are definitely still holes in this Bruins team that need to be addressed. They need to find a way to get some more scoring besides that first line. And besides that, they'd be good. If they can get that some scoring besides the first line, they'd be awesome. And right now, to me personally, the Bruins are the most exciting team in Boston sports. They're playing great. They have heart, determination, grit. They have that factor that the Celtics don't have right now.
That's a good comparison.
That they will not give up, and no matter what, they're going to play all 3 periods to the end. And if they're up, they're going to keep trying to add on scoring. So the Bruins are playing great, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah, super good start to the year. What their record is 6-1-2.
Yep.
You said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 6-1-2, and they're leading the division. This win against the Flyers. Yeah, I think it was this win against the Flyers. They just went to the top of the division with I think 15 or 16 points.
Yeah, I love to see it. I mean, like we've been saying for a week or two, having Pasta back is pretty big. Adding him back into the lineup, that's awesome to see him get a hat trick in like the most exciting of ways too. One, right away start the game with a goal, and then tie it up, get into overtime, and then win it in overtime. That's a player's dream right there. Dream game, honestly. That's
yes, it is.
3 of the coolest goals you'll ever see, I think.
Yeah,
so really love watching them right now.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. Pasta, that was his 9th hat trick, his 9th career hat trick, and he's only 23. He is stupid good. I cannot wait to continue watching him. But that being said, that's going to wrap us up for today. We thank you guys so much for listening to us, as always. We'll be back again next week for another episode. We'll see who loses the Super Bowl bet, and we'll see what happens. But we thank you again for joining us, guys. Make sure to, again, follow us on all these platforms, and make sure to like this episode again. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a good one.